morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you happen to be listening. I am beyond excited to bring to the show Katlyn Eggar. She's the Director of Education and Development at Quantum Assurance. And I was introduced to Katlyn by Jeff Shee, who is great at connecting people. If you haven't met Jeff, make sure you connect with him and Katlyn and her husband, Justin. They have some great stuff going in the industry. And I'm so excited that Jeff brought us together and introduced us. We've had fun in all of our conversations leading up to now. So welcome to the show, Katlyn. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm really glad that Jeff connected us. We have a lot in common, it seems like, and I'm excited to talk about it more.
Yes. So Katlyn and I were just kind of chatting about life over the last couple of weeks, along with some pretty intense business discussions as well. But we learned that we have daughters by the same name. So Karis, not the most common name, and we spell differently, but we both have little Karises at home.
I have a Karis, and it's so rare to run into another family that has a little Karis as well. So we spell it Karys, and she just really, her name just suits her to a T. And how do you spell yours?
Karis.
Okay, so and how old is your Karis?
7.
And mine is 6.
Yes.
So it's just
future besties.
Age. Yeah. Future besties. And she is just so free-spirited, and she's just that independent, fun-loving, sweet soul. And I just I love this age so much, where everything's new to them, and they're already acting so grown up. Isn't it crazy?
Yes. And I don't know if it's girls, because you have a boy as well, so you've seen the dynamic, the difference between boys and girls, but did you feel like she's just kind of an old soul, like she has this innate wisdom?
She does, and she's very logical, very much that she gets those big things, she asks those hard questions, and she wants to do things the right way. So when she processes things, I think she fits into the framework of like, where does this fit? And is this the right thing to do? And my son, Callan, is 5, and he's a free spirit and super chill and team player. And so they really balance each other out really well. And you have 3. So
yes.
That's so awesome that you have the 3 kids to be best friends with each other. And my kids are best friends. So when I'm not at work, I'm hanging out with them, and they are awesome.
Yeah. So what has school been like for you guys, and how have you been spending your time during this pandemic that we've all been trying to navigate and find new and exciting ways to have fun? Like, what have you guys been up to?
So we decided to homeschool this year. And it was a hard decision because the school that Karis was going to last year for kindergarten was so fun. She loved it so much. And Callan would have been in school with her this year because he would have been in kindergarten. She would have been in 1st grade. Yeah. And that was the plan. And I was about to sign on the dotted line for that beginning of March, and decided to just, sleep on it another night. And somehow the whole COVID thing started happening. And and then it became, well, maybe we should think about this a little bit more, wait and see what happens. And in July, we finally decided, you know what, this is the year we're going to homeschool. And I was actually homeschooled as a kid until 3rd grade. And I had a great experience with it. And so it's something that I've always had in the back of my mind. And I thought, you know what, if we're going to do it, this would be the year to do it. And they're super young. They're easy to teach in this phase because they already love learning. They love reading. They love math. They think math is fun. Science projects are easy. We go to museums all the time. And so it just makes sense. And when our family's traveling for work, they can just come along, and the textbooks come along with them. And then we're able to do a lot of that together as a family. So far, we're off to a good start, and we're really loving it. And we were so worried that they'd be disappointed when we told them that they weren't going to go back to school, because some of their friends were going back to school.
Yes.
And so we tried to make it fun. We named it Voyager Club. because we travel a lot. And so every day when it's time for school, we're like, hey guys, it's time for Voyager Club. And we kind of like marketed it to be adventurous and make it special. And they really are catching on to it. And I just love that I get to be there for a lot of their learning moments that while they're in school, I would be missing out on, right? So it's a nice, there's going to be a lot of good things that come out of it, even though they are able to be in class with their friends every day, which I know will, be a big thing that they miss. But overall, we think it'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a tough decision for any parent at this stage in the game. Every state is different and every school district is different within those states. And like, I have one that's online full time. I have two that are hybrid. So they're every other day. And so there's just like, there's concerns with any of it. Like you're probably, giving your kids some consistency. Mine are like one day here, one day there. And so, but it is fun on the days that they're here now that I'm starting to find my rhythm. And I don't know, like maybe you can give me advice on finding that rhythm. But like today was the first day that I took like a break at noon and I was like, let's go over like what you've done so far today. Let's look at progress and let's figure out what you need to spend the next 2 hours on. But it does take a real conscious effort to keep all of that organized.
It's a lot of organization. I would imagine with 3 and with yours being all the different grades that you're juggling. So you have some that are probably more independent with self-study. Yeah. And they just need a little bit of encouragement and check-in. And then all the way down to your 7-year-old who still probably needs a lot of help with the reading and math and stuff to make sure they know what their assignments are and staying encouraged. So it takes a lot of being organized, but it's only like, I don't know when this episode is going to air, but we still have time to get it right? We're early on in the school year. So.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is it's like, I think this is a lesson in not holding ourselves to a level of perfection. Like, absolutely. And they're probably going to have this great opportunity. At least this is what I'm finding with my 14-year-old is that I do get to see his grades. Like I get grade updates all the time. Whereas before it was just kind of like intermittent or I had to be the one logging in constantly. Right. Now it's landing in my inbox, but I'm figuring out where he's naturally thriving and where he has to push himself a little harder. And we talk about it. We talk about why this is important or why it's maybe not going to be important to him long term. I had no idea my kid was going to be good at physics. He loves physics. Wow. Yeah.
That's so cool. So, I bet as a mom, you're like, yes, this is awesome. I'm proud. I'm
so glad I don't have to teach you physics.
Exactly. And I think for me, because my kids are young, they're 5 and 6. I just try to think about, okay, what are we really trying to accomplish this year? And I want them to love learning. Mm-hmm. I want them to love learning. I want them to love the outdoors and I want them to love reading. And if we can pull that off, I think it'll make schoolwork and Voyager Club and learning time that much easier is if they can learn to love as much of it as possible. I think school is always going to be a lot of hard work, especially when they have to sit down and do the things that they don't enjoy, like copy work or like practicing their handwriting or something that to them is very monotonous and not fun. But I don't want that to be their school experience. I want them to walk away having had a lot of hands-on time and things that spark their curiosity and let them delve into their interests so that they learn to love learning.
Yes. Yes. And the other bonus is tons of gym time. My kids are in PE almost all afternoon.
That's awesome.
And we have there's a lot of artwork that's being made right now. So yeah, we're just, I'm buying every store out of canvas and paints as much as I can. So
I should show you after this call, my kitchen cabinets are full of artwork and our dining room is really just like an art gallery at this point. But I can't bear to throw any of it away. So
yeah, I'm not good. I'm like, I'm going to get all these framed. Eventually.
I wish I had time for all of that. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, you guys have been on quite this whirlwind adventure. And so Quantum just turned a year old.
It did.
This has taken you guys on the road. So your Voyager Club is very active.
It is. We ended up traveling a lot this summer because during COVID, everyone was working from home and we weren't able to go out and visit agencies or our call centers that were in different locations. And so we found out during that time how much we really were able to do while working remotely without being in the office. And so it really turned into, once everything started opening up a little bit more, and in July and August, getting opportunities to go places and work, still working, but working not from the office, working from Colorado, or we took a road trip out east so that we could see our call center in Fredericksburg and visit with some quantum agents that are out there, because we didn't want to put them on an airplane and fly them out our way. Yeah. It made a lot more sense to just hop in the car and then go visit them there. So it was really great family quality time, and we got a lot of work done while we did it. And we are starting to work in the office again a lot more. Yeah. But it was a really great experience. Yeah. We're glad to be back home though.
Yeah, it is always, I mean, home is always good. Sleeping in your own bed is good.
Getting in a routine.
Yes, routine. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Vacations, but if you can combine vacation and work, like that's pretty ideal. Like
pretty perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff going on there. So as you guys look at like celebrating this 1 year, which is amazing, what has the journey been for you up to now? What brought you into insurance in the first place?
Wow. So it has been an action-packed year because Quantum really kicked off full speed and has accomplished a lot in a short amount of time. So we're a young company, but with seasoned talent. And so our leaders have pulled off some pretty cool things. And our direct channel through our call centers and the agency channel is just really thriving and growing really rapidly. But I think that there's been a long journey to get there. And so to answer your question, I think it really probably began 9 years ago when Justin and I got into insurance for the first time. I was only 25 years old at the time, and we opened a boutique insurance agency with a captive carrier. And the day we opened our doors, that was our first day in insurance, and we were just learning everything from scratch. We didn't purchase an agency. We started with a scratch agency. And since then, we've only ever had scratch agencies. We've never purchased. And so it's really become our story is learning how scratch agencies can scale and grow, and really rethinking this insurance office model of the past and what it looks like in the future moving forward.
Wow. That's a lot in 9 years.
It's been a really full 9 years, I think. So during that time, I started off really in a ground level role, because we were opening in our, it's a family agency, boutique insurance office. That was my first taste of the insurance world. So I was really coming into it in a role where I was responsible for selling as much insurance as possible, right? To help the agency grow, but also in recruiting and training and developing the team members that we did have, which started out being, a few insurance sales producers and a telemarketing team and a few client care producers, and trying to bring that all together. And I think the background that helped me pull that off at such a young age was that I had come from a retail store management background where I was responsible for sales and a lot of things that ended up being transferable skills into the insurance world. I was very comfortable with sales already, and I had to go from figuring out how you sell skincare and makeup to how do you sell insurance. But I was willing to put myself out of my comfort zone. I wasn't afraid to pick up the phone and do the telemarketing calls. And so I think that one of the ingredients to my success, when I look back, hindsight is 2020, and it didn't feel like it at the time. But I think that because I had to jump into it just fresh, and we didn't have training at that time that we could take advantage of. We really had to figure it out on our own. The training options that were available to us were very limited. I think it really put me in a position where I was able to really experience what other people might feel when they start in insurance for the first time, which helps me now in my role as a director of education when we're developing onboarding programs for new employees and new agencies that come on board at Quantum. But it also helped me to be able to develop strategies with a fresh perspective, because I didn't have a lot of, there were some, certainly some old traditions that get passed along, in town halls and the things that you go to. But when you're figuring out on your own, you do bring along some fresh ideas along the way. And I think that has ended up being an asset, even though I feel like it lengthens the learning curve when you have to recreate the wheel on your own. And so that's part of my goal when I develop programs for our call centers or our agencies. I'm thinking about, okay, I've been in their shoes. I know what it's like when you start a new agency, you're, beginning a startup, or when you're an insurance sales producer and maybe you're new to insurance and you're trying to figure out this phone conversation for the first time, how overwhelming it is. And so I want to give them strategies and processes that I know will work, that are working on the ground. These are practical things that aren't just made up by somebody in a corporate office somewhere that like, hey, this will sound good, go try this. It has to be something that we have seen work, that we know is effective. But I also have to distill it down so that it's not going to take any more of their time than possible. It has to be really efficient, because whether you're an agent or a sales producer in an insurance office, you're already juggling so many different things that we really have to strip away the fluff. And so we get down to the nitty gritty of what they need to know. And we try to make sure that it's fresh and that it's something that will really connect with clients when they're talking on the phones every day.
Yeah. So what I'm picking up on as I'm hearing you talk about this, Katlyn, is it's important to remember what it's like to be new.
Yes.
But it's also as important to move forward with the confidence of experience and all of the things that you've learned along the way.
Right. So I really want to take the guesswork out of like, what does it take to be successful? I don't want agents and sales producers to have to recreate the wheel. Mm-hmm. I don't want, because they could, but it would take a really long time. And I don't want them to have to spend 9 years figuring it out. I'd really rather support them in that journey and help them uncover the best practices. Sometimes what you need to do to be successful feels really counterintuitive at first. So if you have someone that can come alongside you and show you those areas and walk you through those sticky points, it does help you achieve success more quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's really about that stickiness, and yeah, anything that feels too abstract, it's too hard to hang on to.
So true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So when you guys were, conceptualizing Quantum, like how did that all come together?
Well, before I was with Quantum, so I told you that I had started in a captive agency. I then became an agency owner in the captive world for 4 years, and it was a really highly successful agency. We did really well. We were Inner Circle Elite every year consecutively. My final year as an agent there, we were best in region. So the captive agency was doing great, and a lot of people might have thought, oh wow, Katlyn's really at the height of her career as a captive agent. But I was starting to think about what other opportunities were there, and I started to realize that what the captive world defined as success was a little bit different than what I was looking to achieve. And that just because the scorecard said 4.0 or best in region, that doesn't mean that my agency is achieving everything that I want to see my agency achieve. Mm-hmm. And so it became less about those arbitrary standards and metrics and more about how do I create the most opportunity for my team, and how do I make sure that we're really being trusted advisors for our clients? And that's when I really started to begin exploring the independent world and that opportunity, which really hadn't been on my radar. It really wasn't something I was interested in. And so I finally decided that if I was going to have if I defined what kind of agency I wanted to have, it would have to be an independent agency. Yeah. Because our clients deserve options, and because it was going to create more opportunity for my team members, which I take really seriously, the kind of opportunities that we're creating in our community and for the people that come to work within the agency. So I had an independent agency that did really well. We did $1 million in our first 90 days, even though we were really just figuring things out. I mean, when you go from the captive world to the independent world, even just figuring out the rater and your processes for how you review multiple different brands with a client and what that conversation should sound like takes a lot of trial and error and practice. And so in that journey and my experience of what it takes to go from being a captive agent to an independent agent, I feel like we really started seeing a big gap there in the support that exists for someone that's going from captive to independent, or from an independent agency that has a traditional office but wants to learn how to scale and grow and compete in the modern insurance market as well. So the idea behind Quantum is, how do we step in and fill that gap so that someone can step from the captive world to the independent world and not just have a place to like put up a sign for their office, but be able to step inside a whole ecosystem of support that really takes the mystery out of what a mega startup really is and how you can accomplish that. And every agency has the freedom to go about it a little bit differently. So every Quantum agency has a little bit of a different look and feel, and they have their own personality and their own business strategies for their own areas. But we walk alongside them to make sure that they have the resources that they need to scale and grow as efficiently as possible for their agency, so that they can accomplish their personal and professional dreams as quickly as possible. And a big part of my role is helping develop the strategic programs and processes that help the agency scale and grow, but also our direct channel, which is our call centers that are doing such a great job out there in the insurance marketplace, matching clients with the best fit for the family. And what we found along the way is that agencies can learn a lot from call centers, and call centers can learn a lot from agencies. So I think the reason that our call center model is so effective is that we don't believe that you have to be transactional and have these short phone calls and make it all about the price to succeed in the independent world or in the high volume game. And so we really feel that you can scale and grow without losing the heart and soul of your agency or of your team. And we really want everyone who joins Quantum to really bring that forward for every single client, and taking that time with every single client and still keeping it about value and about relationship, even though we're experiencing high volume. We don't think it has to be in either or.
Right. So you don't have like the timer ticker going off in the corner or anything like that?
So we do have a timer, but it's the reverse of that. Yeah. So we time how long they've been on the phone, and on the screens, on the TV screens on the wall, they can see who has the highest talk time for the day, and they're going for the longer talk time. So because we want them to really expand that conversation with the client, as opposed to the ticker that's like, oh, hurry up, get off the phone. It's been 16 minutes. It's time for you to wrap it up. I think it's a little hard to do a total risk review in 16 minutes. But I'm pretty good, and I don't think I could do it. So.
Yeah, if you really want to catch everything, you really need to make sure that you're investing, I think, the appropriate amount of time, and like knowing that some clients are only going to want to talk to you for 10 minutes, but there's also going to be some that have 30 minutes worth of questions, leaving that flexibility.
It's really shocking how much time people will find when they feel like they've finally reached the right person. Yeah. And if they really are enjoying the conversation.
So how, when you're getting people trained up to be in these call centers, are there specific attributes that you're looking for in employees that you feel like this person's going to be, because they have to be able to connect with a stranger, right? I mean, it's not somebody they're going to know that they see like at the gas station or something like that. How do you assess like that skill set?
That's a great question. Our team is really diverse, and they have so many different personalities, and they're all different, and they come from so many different backgrounds. We have people that came from customer service or claims or retail or hospitality. And that's one of the most beautiful things about insurance, is that you don't have to be this one cookie cutter background or personality to succeed. So I think that question is one that insurance agents are thinking through all the time, like, how do I tell if this person's a great fit? Because we've had people that displayed this amazing potential and then insurance ended up not being the right fit for them, and vice versa.
Yeah.
We've had, the person that was working retail at Sears that's 19 years old and ended up being awesome at insurance. And so I think that one of the interviewing questions I learned really early on in my career, I was probably 22 years old when I learned this question, was just in the interview, just asking, great, do you like to sell? Ask them if they like to sell.
Yeah, very direct.
If they give you an affirmative, that's a great sign. Like if they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, I could sell ice to an Eskimo. Well, that's a great indication that they might actually like to sell, right? But if they're like, well, I don't know if I would say that I like to sell so much, but I really like to, fill in the blank, then that can give you some more information as well. And that doesn't mean that this is the one question and they have to answer it just right. But it's probably one of my favorite questions to ask because I'm looking for some enthusiasm and an affirmative if they're applying for a sales position that they do, in fact, love selling.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're representing a product that you can be really proud of and you really are bringing something different and important to the client, that it's really easy to love selling, because then at that point you'd be doing them a disservice not to help connect them with that product or service. So it's really important that they don't care about sales more than the client. And we have questions to ask that as well. But some people really love selling and are really enthusiastic about it. And some people really love other things. That's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I was just kind of curious, like, how do you identify that? Because obviously that's an important part of what they're doing every day. So yeah.
That and confidence and comfort, carrying on a phone conversation, being able to direct the conversation and be friendly and approachable, but you're still the one that's navigating the conversation in the right direction, because you want to create this experience that carries the client along and empowers them in the purchasing process.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys have it's like I keep using the word exploded and I'm like, I got a better word. Like I just keep using this word for everything. But I mean, I just feel like you guys have really just found your stride very quickly, and you're helping to build these meaningful relationships with people that want to have good careers. They want to do something meaningful in their work and for their communities. And you guys are helping to pull all of those pieces together in what you're doing at Quantum, which is just absolutely amazing. And to look at how far things have come in just 1 year is outstanding. But as you look through your life and you think about everything leading up to now, who has had such a big impact? We know mentors are important and they come in all shapes and sizes and in different parts of our lives, but can you think of one or two that have just had a big impact on bringing you to where you are now?
Well, I think there's been a lot of people that I look up to, and I try to fill my social media threads with influencers that I really admire and want to learn things from. But personally in my life, in my career, there is a captive agent, Laura, who is just the most generous person in the world, highly successful. You may know who she is, but she will take people under her wing and just share with them what they need. She'll share her processes with them. She's not worried about like, oh, well, what if they copy it and then I'm not she just shares it. And she just multiplies her success by sharing it with other people. And so she took me under her wing, and she would invite me to events or invite me to speak at events, or she would take me to, or if she was going to do an agency visit and say, hey, we're going to be doing a roundtable with this agency that was, best agency last year. Do you want to come along? That really helped me because I was able to learn things. I was able to meet new people, and I just feel like she really made a big, big difference in my career. So I'm so grateful for all of those opportunities. And then personally, it would have to be my grandmas. My grandmothers are pretty fantastic people. They have amazing work ethic, amazing sense of humor, and they've always had lots of great advice for me.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I love my grandmas.
Yeah,
my grandma, actually, this is like total side note. It has nothing to do with anything, but I had a grandma, her name was Dixie. And so,
Oh,
yeah, so my daughter, Karis, is actually Karis Dixie after my grandma.
that's precious.
Yeah, she was one of my favorite people in the entire world. So yeah, I love, every once in a while I'll move something and I'll find a note from her, some piece of advice or a card she sent me or whatever, and I'm like, oh, so good, like I needed this today. So I know she's always around, even if I can't see her every day. So yeah, I totally feel the grandma thing for sure.
Yeah, one of my grandmas always told me that the first time she ever held me in the hospital in the rocking chair, that she said, this is going to be the first woman governor of North Carolina. And I did not live up to that expectation. So she's always quick to tell me she is proud of me, even though I am an insurance agent and not the governor of North Carolina.
Still
but I love that she had big dreams for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that helped set me off on a good path.
Yes, absolutely. She could feel your energy and your enthusiasm even as a baby. So,
and her second career choice for me was that she thought I should be a journalist and get into journalism. And I was like, well, I don't want to wake up at like 3:30 a.m. So I'm not going to be a journalist. And I told
you waking up at 3:30 a.m. Caitlin. You'll be like, it's all happening.
I'll stay up working till 3:30, but I won't go to bed and then wake up at 3:30. So
a night shift for journalism if you decide on another career outside of insurance.
But she always told us that we could be whatever we wanted to be, and gave us a lot of confidence in my sister and myself that whatever it was that we wanted to do, that we could do it. And it's now that I'm getting older that I realized that it wasn't that way for her when she was younger. So her father passed away when she was young. She was the youngest of like 9 children, and her mom had to work super, super hard in West Virginia to support their family. And so my great grandma's options were like cleaning houses and working in the fields. And that was her options to provide for her family when she, lost her spouse. And then my grandma she graduated high school during this time when girls were often discouraged to go to college. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it's that she didn't want to, it didn't work out, but she took a job with the Bell South Phone Company as a phone operator. And she worked for that company for 40 years. And wow. She rocked it. And she did an amazing job in lots of different roles with that company over time. But it was really during a time where in her description, women could be teachers or nurses, but there wasn't just a whole lot of options out there. And she was like, I didn't want to be a teacher and I didn't want to be a nurse. So I went to the phone company, and I like to talk to people. So.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I think it's pretty cool that she really I think she had big dreams for us because she saw how different the world is now and what kind of opportunities are out there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love it. So when you look back on all of the things that you've experienced, maybe with quantum, maybe just growing up, what is like one of the biggest lessons in life so far for you?
Well, I think that one of the things that I did well, that I think caused things to work out really well for me, was that I wasn't afraid to put myself out of my comfort zone. So when I was younger, that meant I was okay, like going door to door to like sell lawn mowing services or something crazy. Yeah. Or when I decided I wanted to get my first job, I walked into every restaurant in Winston-Salem to see if they'd hire me to be a waitress, and they didn't want me because I didn't have experience. So IHOP took me and said I could be a waitress. And I just wasn't afraid to walk into places and put myself out there. So I think one of the things that I learned that I'd want to pass on is that I think that really helped me. But I think that there's a lot of things I wish I knew when I was younger, mm-hmm. that I'm learning as I go. And I think that the older I get, the more that I start to learn how much is out there that I really don't know yet. And I think knowing what you don't know is so important. And I try to approach everything, whether it's a new process we're creating at work or even things in personal life, just starting from the question of, okay, I could be wrong on this. Mm. And that doesn't mean that you can't be like confident in your stance and know what you're, there to share. But I think there's something to be said for knowing if this is something where you could be wrong. Yes. And trying to learn more if that's the case.
Yes. And yeah, being okay with it. I mean, that's like saying like, this is a risk, but I'm willing to take it.
Definitely.
Which is not easy for everybody. I mean, and it's funny. I always love when I hear insurance agents say this, because we're supposed to be like risk adverse, but like most insurance agents are taking risk every day. Like there's, especially when you're an owner.
Isn't that a funny like juxtaposition? Because insurance agents are so risk averse, and we know the numbers, and we know these crazy bad things that can happen. But business owners and entrepreneurs are very risk tolerant.
Yes.
And so I think that it takes, it certainly comes to fruition in our lives in different ways.
Yes. Yes. It takes like this perfect combination of both. Like,
Right.
or like the whole, like, do as I say, not as I do. I don't know.
Right.
That's the motto. So just do you think that you've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit? Like that's just something that's been innate in you?
Looking back on it, I would say yes. I don't think I knew that at the time though, because the women in my family did work, but we didn't have necessarily like entrepreneurs in the family that come to mind. We had a lot of teachers. Like my mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher. And so I look back on it now and I can see it, because I vividly remember when I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, the first time that my dad explained to me what a profit was. And I think he used like little blocks to like show it to me or something, because I didn't understand, because I think we were talking about like a lemonade stand. Oh, okay. And I didn't understand that if I sold $50 worth of lemonade, that I didn't just make $50. And so I remember him explaining that to me. And then in grade school, they'll have those like fundraising competitions where you're supposed to get people to like sponsor the golf course thing or whatnot. And I would just go door to door in the neighborhood and do what I needed to do, whether it was collecting cans for this drive or whatever else we were supposed to do at school. And I look back on that and I'm like, well, I wonder why I did that. Or when I would make flyers and say like, hey, I'll mow your lawn for $20 and take that around the neighborhood. Or just when it came time to try to get a job, I didn't just like, I don't know, I guess people applied online at that time, but I just would just walk into the stores and just apply in person. Yeah. And so I think that it was there, but that I didn't know it was there or what to do with it. And but I think that when I would take a job, I would approach it from more of a business owner's mindset than maybe some of my peers. So I was willing to work longer. I was willing to work harder. I was willing to do more. I wasn't asking like, well, does this fit into my job description? I would just see a need and try to fill it. And so growing the store or growing the team was something that I really enjoyed doing. And I think that because I was able to enter into those roles from a really young age, getting into sales and management and leadership at the age of 18, 19 really set me several years ahead of my peers, because I was doing college at the time, but I decided to take my degree online so that I could work. And it really allowed me to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. And it was a lot to take on. Yeah. But now I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that I did that, because by the time I had my degree, I had also accomplished some pretty cool things in the sales world.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. So you've worked hard, you've kind of cut your own path in a different way, like you said, than a lot of your peers, from just walking into a store for a job or going to school online, all of these experiences. And I think, as you continue to work and develop people through Quantum, how do you feel like we can do more in terms of just highlighting more women, helping more women to take that next step that feels a little bit intimidating in the insurance industry? How do we, continue to encourage that?
I think it starts with getting insurance on more people's radars. A lot of people don't even know that this amazing opportunity is out there. I really stumbled into it. I didn't know that I wanted to be an insurance agent. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity there that a lot of people need to know about right now, because there's so many industries that are being disrupted due to COVID and things where their industries are really struggling. And I think women are thinking, okay, what kind of career do I really need to be thinking about and really reevaluating if their current career is where they want to be long term. So I think getting the word out about insurance is so important because there's so many ways to be successful in insurance. But I also think that women are really, really good at insurance. And I think that's a message that we need to get out there more. Women do, I think it's underselling it a little bit to say that we do as well as the guys do. I actually think that I've seen a lot of women do even better. They're fantastic insurance salespeople. They're fantastic insurance customer service. They're fantastic at quality and assurance. They're fantastic at leadership. And so I love just that I'm in a role where I get to focus on things that fall in the career development and leadership development aspect so that we can try to create the best opportunity possible for everyone that comes into quantum. But we really do see women rising to the top very often. Yeah. And when we look at our top salespeople rankings, the women are coming through strong. And I think that it's something that women can enjoy and be really really successful at, and that it can be a life-changing career for women and for moms, because it can be really hard for moms and women to find a career that doesn't require a college degree if you don't have one. Mm-hmm. Is also a healthy schedule, a healthy work-life balance where you might not have to work nights and weekends and holidays and whatnot, like you might have to in some other industries like hospitality or, these different ones. So I think that the opportunity combined with the work-life balance potential is something that can be really life-changing for moms. Yeah. Or future moms.
Yes, absolutely. Are you seeing more female ownership as you guys are continuing to develop with Quantum?
We do. We have some successful female agency owners for sure. And one of them did their very first month with Quantum as a startup. They did $300,000 their first month.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. And they're a powerful leader and they do a great job with their team and they're rocking it out.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I love that you guys are helping to push that journey along as well. I think that's wonderful. So if you could go back and give your younger self a piece of advice at any age, maybe a pivotal age, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Well, I feel like my younger self always felt like I was so different from my peers. Like I was a little bit nerdier. I really loved school a lot and I loved reading and I loved working really hard. And I just wasn't out there, partying or doing a lot of the things that my peers were doing to have fun. And so I think I just always felt like I was really different. And I wish I could go back and just remind my younger self that, we're all, I think, more alike than we are different. And so even if we have different hobbies and different backgrounds, yes, we have differences that we should celebrate, but that there's many commonalities and many things that everyone, cares about, whether it's our children or being esteemed by other people around us or feeling confident and secure in what we're doing or being reassured that we made the right choice. These are all things that are important to all of us. And so I think that it would have been nice if my younger self knew that back then.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think it's hard to put that into words as a kid. And I don't even know at what age you really can conceptualize the importance of humanness. Right. We're humans. We're not superheroes. We're not super parents. We're humans. Yeah. And, but yeah, I think it's probably a good reminder at any age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So I have one final question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
So if you got to play DJ for 5 minutes, you get to pick the song. Everybody has to listen to it. What song are you choosing?
Oh gosh, DJ. I don't know if this is a dancing song.
Oh, it doesn't have to be a dancing song. Okay. Just a song that people listen to. And
I love One Republic. I think they just have really good music. I think it's really well done. So I'd say Good Life by One public.
Oh, that's a great song. I love it. That is one of those songs like you hear and you can't not smile when you hear that song.
Yeah, it's like a song I would play while we're like swimming at the lake with the kids or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not like a DJ like dance song.
Yeah, well, they play all sorts of music. So it can be anything. There's no wrong answer to that question.
What's your song?
So I kind of almost have to change mine every week just in case in case the guest asks.
Right.
So I usually, but I have, I told you before, so I've kind of been on this Justin Bieber kick. I don't know. The short story is that it's the long story, but like my kids' best friends, kind of get annoyed by the music that I play constantly, but like we're all in like, the living room, kitchen, dining room area. So everybody, like if I'm cooking, like everybody just has to listen to my music. That's all it is. And so finally the one day the kid was like, can we just not listen to your music today?
What did they pick?
I was like, gosh, I am so offended, but what do you want to listen to? And that's when the Justin Bieber thing was born. He's like, can we listen to, he goes, just the one song. And I was like, what? So I think it's Intentions by Justin Bieber. So yeah, so that made it onto my playlist now. And I thanked him for expanding my musical horizons because I was not considering anything from Justin Bieber until he made me listen to it. So
that's awesome.
The wisdom of a 9-year-old made it through to my playlist.
That's so fun. And I love that you play music in your house a lot. I think it's neat for kids to grow up with a lot of music around. So ours is usually like Frozen. They want to hear Let It Go again, but we play a lot of Imagine Dragons and fun stuff too.
Yeah, I kind of, we try for sure. But I do kind of dictate the music. I should let my kids play DJ more often. You're pointing this out for me, Katlyn. I feel like I should let them play.
Might be too old for this, but we do family glow-in-the-dark balloon dance parties. Mm-hmm. And as often as we can, it's turned into like an Eggar, like family tradition. Whenever everybody's together, it could be Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're going to do one. But every birthday, we do a glow-in-the-dark balloon dance party and pump up the jams with the kiddos. So love music here.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of like any excuse to like play music, sing and dance. Like I feel like it makes even the most boring, mundane activities that need to get done much better.
So true. Yeah. I'm a terrible dancer, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
You can dance however you want to dance. I only dance like a mom. I only have mom moves, guys. So you're going to have to live with it.
I'll have to take lessons or something, or else it's only a matter of time before my kids are old enough to tell me that I'm a mom dancer. The clock is ticking.
Yes, I've been told I dance like a mom.
Thanks for giving me a heads up so I can get ahead of that one.
Yeah, you probably Karis is 6. You probably have 3-ish more years before she's like,
is this gonna be here before I know it?
Yeah, it goes fast. It definitely goes fast. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so much fun, Katlyn. I am so glad. I've had so much fun talking to you up till now, and then having this time with you to just dig in a little bit deeper to your life and your experiences. I am incredibly grateful. Thank you so, so much for all of it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you as well. I feel like you're so inspirational, and I'm going to make sure I go out and get a run in this week after talking to you about your daily habits and how you stay motivated to run. So
yes, definitely.
Thanks for everything. And this has been really fun. I'm always happy to share with other agents and people out in the insurance world and just try to be as supportive as I can to other people that are along this journey with us.
Yes, it is a good journey to be on, and I'm so glad that you're on it with me. So thank you, and we'll catch up again soon.
Have a great day.
Yes, you too.